absolutely. I mean, like I've been here since I was about 8, and my entire life or my entire experience living in Springfield, Missouri has been a challenge against racism. So there's a lot of examples that I have given, to a lot of individuals, but more specifically, I think that what has me being an activist or a community organizer has been my experience in schools. Having to deal with the people I looked up to, talk down on my ability to be successful, or even being inside of employment where I was, taking the steps to report racism and being retaliated against, but in usual circumstances, we're silenced against that, or being told that I was told in my specific situation that I was the problem and I was the one that caused the situation to happen because of my behavior. A mad black woman. I guess the safest one to talk about would be my mother's. That affected me a lot. Is my mother, when she came here, she was trying to purchase a home, and she was basically told by the realtor that was showing her the house that, she was realtor owner, and she told her she did not know who she was when she came there. My mother obviously, I guess, to her sounded white. So whenever she saw her as being a black woman, my mom had myself, my sister, and my brother with her. We were like 5, 6, and 7 years old. And she told us, you brownies, get off my porch. I would never sell to you. And so that was an experience. Also growing up, my dad's truck was, they threw bricks into his truck and then also set our trash can on fire, threw rocks at our windows. And my mother actually continues to have issues with contractors and insurance when it comes to actually fixing those things. So it's just been a life full of racism for me. I would like to first get everyone to the table and to discuss and dialogue about the situation, get over ourselves so that we can understand the opposite perspective, but then absolutely start dealing with it from the inside going out. So many times we're always dealing with things on the outside, patting things, putting band-aids on stuff, but we're not really taking care of the issue, or we're making ourselves appear to be on the side of change when in reality we're doing nothing. We're not taking any type of action to actually make it happen. So my job as a community leader or as an activist, or what I want to get out of it, is actually get people to start actually doing something about it, educating people about their the opportunities that are there for them, and what we can't, educating them about their choices. Yeah, because absolutely our population here in this area is too small to get anything done. So we need our allies. We need everyone. I think what everyone would need to realize outside of being an ally, because that could sound like we just need you. But at the same time, like, allies need to understand that they are also being affected by these changes. So the life that they want to live in is also the life that we're fighting for. So you are an ally, but you're also a part of the community. And we need to work together as a community and recognize ourselves as a community and stop isolating ourselves in these categories that separate us. I feel like it's I feel like that is just a new phase for us. I mean, because we had the civil rights movement that would not have happened without white allies. So, it could have been considered then a trend, but at the same time, something within them told them that they no longer wanted to live like that anymore, that they wanted to connect with people that they loved and cared about or mentored. And so they stood up and they said, like, this is enough. This is the breaking point for us. We're going to fight for these people to get us one step closer. At some point, we as a nation became content and the life that we were living. And we became content with our leaders, and we decided to just go ahead and follow whatever they put on the table for us and get comfortable in the fact that we made one step forward. But that whatever their intentions were then were not complete. And so now it's just so much has built up. We're at the point again, or our white allies are at the point again, where they say, okay, it's time to step up again and help continue this mission. You know, it is very important that white allies do not overshadow the people that they're helping. I feel like what they need to do, one, they need to speak up they need to speak up. One, they need to be heard. A lot of the issues that we have, however, is that white allies are not speaking up until a black person speaks, which could be very hard to manage, because how can you continuously be a white ally if you're not continuously speaking up even when a black person isn't around? So they have to make it part of their lifestyle habits to speak up and speak out when they see wrongdoings happen, not only when a black person is around. I would encourage that white allies be bold and not be afraid, and actually start building relationships with black people so that they can be comfortable and confident with what they believe they're fighting for. It is a flexible, very, it has so many layers. White people fighting white people, because you have family involved, you have loved ones, you have friends, you have mentors, mentees, all in the same boat. But these people that you do love and care about either were isolated from the situations that now white allies have begun to understand and comprehend, and they have to go to the people that they love and either be isolated from that or be turned away from their families because of the things that they now realize. And so I feel like you got to be very careful with how to approach the situation as a white ally, because what we are here for is not to offend. We're here to educate. And if we could if our white allies could be determined and be bold enough to educate consistently and keep the relationships that they have with the people that still don't believe like them, then we would go further than just having someone at our defense. You can have someone at your defense all day. I mean, you can have security, but everyone doesn't like security, okay? If I can't get along with security team, and security team doesn't look at me differently, then what have we truly changed? So it is important for white allies to keep the relationships that they have while still educating to make them understand what they themselves have not realized. As far as, and the one thing I do feel like is important with our white allies, again, I did say this, but I stress sit down with black people. Too often, I mean, this is what over 80% population white in Springfield, Missouri. How can you be confident if you're not sitting down with the people that you want to support? There's lack of understanding, and there's lack of reasoning, and lack of knowing the actual experiences that people are going through. People in Springfield don't have the same issues as people in Chicago or California or St. Louis. So it's very important for you to understand what issues people are dealing with right here in Springfield, Missouri, and to sit down with us and talk with us about that. United Community Change is trying to really build that platform with Table Talk to allow one another to get through those very difficult conversations, but that allow us to hit a plateau where we can come back down and have commonalities and understanding with one another, so that we can actually fight the issues that we're having locally. If allies all over the world really were specific with their local community, then we could get a lot done, because then we're working at that point from the inside out.
Change, of course. I mean, who doesn't want to see change? But for me personally, I'm taking a different approach towards that change than most others, because you have some people out here who are attacking flags, You know, you have people out here who are attacking symbols. But me personally, I feel like that even if you got rid of all the Confederate flags, even if you got rid of all the Confederate symbols, is racism just gonna magically disappear? No, it's not. So you have to attack the people. And when I say attack the people, I'm not meaning with violence or anything like that, but you attack their hearts. You take the chance to have a conversation with them and get to know them, you know, because racism is built on fear. And a lot of that fear, it keeps people reserved and it keeps people hesitant to get to know people. But once you break through that with an open heart and honesty, and you get to know people, you know, then you start building better race relations and you start changing people's hearts. And then when you change their hearts, you start to change their mind. And that's the approach that I'm taking with it all. When I was in junior high and high school, Pershing and Glendale, I dealt with it a lot, you know, but most of it was just a bunch of ignorant kids, you know, trying to be cool for the other kids, calling us N-words, you know, things like that. And you can look back on this, my freshman year at Glendale, we got into a fight over that, where some white kids had called us the N-words, and we went over to a park and had a fight with them, and we got locked up for 3 months, and the other kids didn't, you know, and things like that. So I've experienced it, but it is something that I'm looking past and still trying to continue with my mission in changing hearts. See, the thing is in Springfield is you have deep-rooted people. I mean, honestly, we are 100 miles away from the Klan compound in Zinc, Arkansas, in Harrison. I mean, everybody's heard the stories about that. If you're my Facebook friend, you've been seeing the back and forth with me and Thomas Robb on Facebook, you know. So we are less than 100 miles away from the Klan compound. The Klan are what I consider the Hydra. If you like comic book movies, they're the Hydra of the new age, to where they've infiltrated every part of our society and we don't know who they are. You know, all that we know is they have motives against certain people in our communities, the LGBTQ+, you know, people of color, Mexicans, you know, basically anybody who's not white, because all the Klan focuses on is white supremacy. So when you have members of your society that's infiltrated all parts of the government, the police, you know, society, judges, attorneys, you know, then you get to control things in a way to where you don't have to wear a white sheet and drag people behind trucks anymore or hang us in trees. You can leave us rotting in jail. You know, you can deny us from getting a job. You know, you can give us the longer sentences than white people would. You know, things like that. That's where you're hurting us at, and that's what my goal is to fight. First off, I mean, you introduce yourself. You know, because when you're talking to somebody, anybody that you don't know, you at a win-win anyway, because you don't know how they will receive, you know, what you coming with. So you just try to find the common ground. Like, here's for instance, and I like to remind people of them because this is why I'm being attacked so much on social media right now. I have a best friend, his name is Bill. I met Bill a year and a half ago when I moved into my house. When I first met Bill, Bill was racist. You know, and we kind of, you know, we kind of respected each other, but you can tell, like, he really wasn't, like, all too, until one night, I was having a movie night, because sometimes I host community movie nights in my front yard. I pull out the projector and things like that. So I invited Bill and his whole family over, you know, to hang out with me and my daughter. We were roasting marshmallows, you know, we were out there having drinks, taking a few shots, barbecuing. You know, and by the end of the night, we had such a good time that now, a year and a half later, that's my best friend. You know, that protest that we did at the square, the one that had so many people, that white truck that led that protest, that was my friend Bill. You know, and during that protest, when we had everybody lay down on the bridge and everything, there was a young black lady that got real emotional because that was her first time being in that experience. My friend Bill got out of his truck and embraced that lady, you know, and I didn't see it, and not a lot of people saw it, so it wasn't nothing like it was planned, you know what I mean? Yeah. What it was somebody caught that act, and they emailed me the next day and was like, hey, that white guy that was driving that truck, do you know who he was? And I was like, yeah, that was my friend Bill. He lives next door, and they sent me the picture. And then, you know, I sent him the information, and he got the picture, and it was just like, wow. And so that's how you change hearts. You put yourself out there with an open heart, an open mind, the willingness to listen, the willingness to understand, and the willingness to reason. Because even though a lot of things I'm saying right now you agree with, at the end of the day, me and you will not agree on everything. But the strongest people find that common ground to where even if we're not friends, we can still respect each other enough not to disrespect each other over our differences. And that's what we need to learn how to do. It's the same thing that I've been speaking on. It's conversation. It's talking to people. Like when a lot of people reach out to me, and this is mostly how the conversation starts. Hey Larry, I know you don't know me. I've been watching you on Facebook. I like what you're doing. Such and such, and then they get into what they want to talk to me about. And then they ask me, if I got time, can I reach back out to them? And normally when I get that message, they get a call back. Because with me, if you're trying to help progress our community for the positive, I'll sit down and listen to that conversation any day. Because that's something I'm trying to do with all my heart. And if that's what you want to do, then everybody should be at that goal. So that's a conversation right now everybody should be having. White allies are important. Mexican allies are important. Right now, the problem is we keep putting colors on things. It shouldn't be about white allies. It shouldn't be about black allies. It shouldn't be about Mexican LGBTQ. It should be about allies, period. Like the back of my shirt says, one voice that speaks for everybody. It should just be about allies, period. As long as we keep putting color before things, then we're going to keep having this problem. Because right there, that's the first problem. When you put a color before something, you've already divided it, whether you've tried to do it or not. So every ally is important. And every ally, every good movement should have a great ally. Period, point blank. It don't matter what color you are, what creed you are, what religion you are, what sexuality you prefer. Every great movement should have a great ally, period. Because everybody wants to know how to follow a black leader right now. First and foremost, that's the mistake with me. You're not following me. We're all standing together. We're all equal right now. There ain't no following nobody. The only reason I consider myself a leader because when danger approaches, I'm the first one to step up to take that danger. I won't put that on nobody following me. I'll take that. That's what makes me the leader above anybody else. As far as that, we stand equally. So listen to people talk like that. When you hear people say, oh, follow me and things like that, that's not a leader. That's a boss. Because a leader is the first one to get out there and get his hands and his knees and his face, his neck, and everything dirty before you can even do it. So that way he can be like, I've done it. Because that's a leader. And not only have I done it, but I'm ready to do it again with you being a part of it. In situations with things that I'm doing, like me going back and forth with the Klan, of course, I've dealt with some danger. I've had my house broken into. I've had my car tampered with. I get death threats all the time on Facebook. I mean, Thomas Robb just did on YouTube. He has a church session where he's putting my image out and my name all over for the, and what are you doing that for? Why would you be spreading my image and my name unless you're making me a target? So there's a march on Zinc, August the 2nd, that I was affiliated with up until everything that started happening last week, and I kind of stepped back from everything. So, but when I went down there, because I went down there first, like after we scheduled the march, I took it upon myself, as any leader would, to go and see how much danger am I putting those who are willing to march with me in. So I went down to Zinc, Arkansas by myself. I saw the Klan compound. I saw the home of Thomas Robb, who is the Grand Wizard of the KKK. I saw his daughter's house and his son's house. Well, as I was leaving Zinc, he pulled up behind me. He copied down the license plate of the car that we was in. He passed it to another guy in a pickup truck, and he told them that we were BLM. He wrote our license plate down and to do something with that. I mean, there are things coming back and forth between me and him, like he's challenged us to a debate. I've challenged him to a counter debate here in Springfield because, like I told him, I've been to Zinc It's time for you to come out them shadows. My goal with the KKK is that the KKK, Thomas Robb, all his supporters and followers need to be on the terrorist organization list. Period, point blank. So what my goal is I'm trying to shine a light on the Klan big enough to where the world will see what type of people they are. Because what type of organization are you in when you can copy somebody's license plate, pass it to somebody else who's not law enforcement, and tell them to do something with it, unless you have connections that can do something with it? And then, what are you trying to do something with? My house was broken into, my car was tampered with. So just by you saying that on media, you know what I'm saying, that could be traced back to you. That's terrorist type things. So with me and my nonprofit, the end game for us right now is we're working on community events. We have a community event this weekend, and I brought something for y'all to keep, check out.
Thank you.
We have a community event this weekend. It's basically my 417 day, but we've changed it into more of a community rally where we're having speakers and everything come out because we want to focus on the issues at bay, like I'm talking about now. Voter registration, voter education, education for kids. I'm also developing a home economics program because that's one of the things that kids are losing right now. So I've partnered with the Grant Beach Neighborhood Association, and I'm using the Hovey House. What we're doing in September, we're starting a home economics program where we're going to teach kids how to cook. So basically the basic living skills that they're losing, because nowadays you have parents who are out there on drugs. You have parents who are incarcerated. You have parents who work all the time. And then you have kids who are being raised by adults who are too old to maintain, like grandparents or aunts and aunts who are old. So basically what we're doing is we're going to start off, because we have to start off small to make sure it's successful. So starting in September for 2 Wednesdays a month, we're going to do a home economics program. We're going to teach them how to cook, teach them how to sew, teach them finances, things like that, light home maintenance, things like that. And then I have some mechanics coming in that's going to teach them how to do oil changes, tune-ups, and change tires. Not only is that giving an education to our youth, but that's also teaching them trades and education that's going to help further themselves in life. Because what my end goal is like I said, we don't know who Hydra is. So we need to start educating kids to get those jobs to where that's important for our community, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're brown, yellow, green, native, LGBTQ, Mexican, Asian, whatever you are, we need more firemen. We need more doctors. We need more lawyers. We need more police. We need more politicians. We need more tradesmen. We need more business owners. So that's what we're trying to do. Because if this corona has taught you anything, it's taught you what an essential job is. And that's a job that you get and you can move anywhere in the world and still have a job.
Because of my white privilege, I get to say things and do things that others may not feel comfortable doing. I also can communicate with groups of people in a different way and speak to them on a different level because I don't have to be as careful with my wording. I don't have to be as guarded with how I'm perceived because I don't care. Okay, so for me personally, the cause outweighs any type of, blowback that I may receive based on the words that I speak. So I don't have that concern. I just don't. And again, that's my white privilege. I've never had to worry about that, so why would I now? Speak as I know how to and as truthfully and as honestly as I know how and see where it gets me. But also, I also believe that white allies are just that. We're the allies. We're here to be guided. We're here to be shown the way. I have been educated a whole lot in these last few years simply because now that we have this beautiful thing called the internet to where we can communicate with people from all over the world and be in contact with real, true information, especially now when we're not taught certain things in our history classes, allows us to better understand the struggle of people when we know the truth, right? And because of that, when I speak of certain things, I just want to make sure that what I do is in line and I'm not overstepping. I want to make sure that my role is here as a support role. When Jamia and I first met, I'm not sure she knew how to take me. I have a big personality. I'm also an entertainer here in town, so I'm kind of all over the place. And so, you know, when I approached the situation, I was like, what can I do? Just tell me what you need from me. I have a big voice around here. Why people listen to me, I don't know. I really don't. But I think it's because I talk a lot. I don't have a clue. But no, I just wanted my voice to be used for something that would benefit the community as a whole and to benefit the cause of people just being able to live. You know, I'm actually known for outing racists in town, racist businesses, pedophiles, pedo businesses that support pedophiles, things like that. Like, I'm very vocal. So it's all, I mean, people just know that's what it is. My goal behind that is because anyone that would take the time to hurt a child or to hurt a person of color, to hurt black people purposefully just because of that, have no right, in my opinion, to be comfortable in any situation they are in. So my goal is those that know who I am and what I stand for, the second I enter a room, they're uncomfortable. I don't want that to be the norm anymore. We have to move past the hate being normal or us writing it off like it's some kind of that's what they were taught. They don't know any better. No, now they do know better. There's too many things out there now, which is another reason why I like what's happening, is that there's too many ways to get information now. It's basically whatever fits your agenda is what you go with. So after we try to educate, if that person still is incapable of understanding, that's a choice. 9 times out of 10 it does. In fact, the last time I called some people out, it actually created a conversation that changed people. They understood what Black Lives Matter is as opposed to All Lives Matter. All Lives Matter is a thing, and I know that we're like, people can't get it by now. But you have to understand, white folks from the moment we are conceived are taught not to see color. We're taught that color is a bad thing, that if we see the differences within each other, somehow we're wrong for that. So when people say all lives matter, it's unfathomable to them to think that somehow anyone would be not equal, right? What they forget is that even when the forefathers said that all men are created equal, they had slaves at the time. So it's not really true, right? And they had Indians on reservations, you know what I'm saying? So there's certain limits to which that information can be called truth.
There were tons of examples as a kid, but really it was more adulthood that kind of started standing out to me. One time my brother was at Waffle House and somebody was hitting on his girlfriend and they called him the N-word just because they were talking to her and they were like, I can't believe you're with that N-word, you're with the hard R, and saying like you're an N lover, like saying just horrific things. And I was probably 15 at the time and I was like, what on earth? Like, I was so upset. He got in a fist fight with these people, so it was really bad. And I just remember like thinking like, we still deal with this, like, are you kidding me? It's the 21st century. And so that's probably one of the bigger things, but there have been so many things. Absolutely. I think we really can't turn a blind eye anymore. It's right in front of our faces. So I feel like there's more and more people saying stuff, sharing stuff on social media, just being out there because we have to. We can't pretend it's not happening anymore. Listen, basically, I think it's really big to not just assume we know what is correct and actually listen to people of color and not. I feel like a huge problem with white allies is they just kind of say and do whatever they want and they're like, well, I'm trying, so that's all that matters. But really, you can't just do whatever. You have to do something that's progressive and actually helping. I think it's really important to hold other white people accountable because a lot of our friends, even if they don't mean to be racist, they don't identify as racist. We have so many underlying things like saying the N-word without the hard R, a lot of people don't think that's a problem. And it really is, because it's not our word, you know, like, and just saying racist jokes and being like, well, these are my friends, it's funny right now. I would never say it in front of a black person. Being accountable for your friends and being like, hey, you can't get away with this just because I'm white and you don't think I'm going to say anything. Like, we have to be more than doing the bare minimum. We have to actually be actively telling people you are being racist even if you just think it's funny right now. White people are really good at pretending like nothing matters. So I've been to so many parties and things as a teenager that were like, and living in the Midwest, like, people think it's okay to say the N-word or to make comments like just about, like, especially like even stuff that has to do with like white girls dating black guys. They use like jungle fever and all those terms and stuff, and you're like, you think you're just being funny, but those aren't really crude jokes. Like, it's not funny anymore. We're just people dating people, you know.